All right. So I'm a target individual, and I've been making videos since 2020. And my goal has been to always make video about what's happening to me, about the disturbing manipulations, torment, disgusting things, psychological disturbance, and how this V2K has been doing so much horrible things. These people do things to you and want you to subscribe to these things. It's disgusting. They are disgusting low lives, but they're not. They are just nothings that try to make you feel like a nothing. These are people who can make you stimulate your children and try to gaslight you into make you feel guilty for it. They stimulate you and then try to get you to feel guilty for the stimulation they force you to have. This technology, ladies and gentlemen, target individuals, has the ability to stimulate you. They do so much, right? This technology does so much control to your body. And you hear this truly nothing, these nothings. You're going to see a picture of somebody, they try to make you feel guilty. But they're in a program where they can do some of the most disturbing things, and that's what they've been doing to me. For example, I'm just going to speak about just what happened last night. My libido, they've been playing so much with my libido. So much, so stimulating. Like, they've played so much of my life. It's just disgusting. They want you to feel guilty. Matter of fact, you hear somebody yesterday, they were doing this thing where I have a friend, an old friend of mine, and they also have this ability to create a new version of reality. You see, these people live off a fantasy they've put together. They live off something that is fabricated, and they try to live in that fantasy they've put together. This is their job. These are I'm a target individual, so I'm a subject. I'm a subject in this manipulation. I'm a subject that they experiment these things on, but they really want you to psychologically accept these things that they're doing to you and let them live their fantasy. That's why I don't do that. You'll see a lot of videos of people who are like this person wants me to subscribe to these things. These people have been embarrassed and humiliated in ways that they try to not process. Because there's plenty of testimony of how nasty they do things. And as they try to make you feel guilty, you realize, first of all, these people have done horrible things to children and women, and they do it. They try to distance themselves. So, they find ways to trick themselves into creating a different fantasy, where in reality, they do this stimulation to you, obviously. It's the pattern that they've been utilizing this technology to get you to feel this way. And with me, they've been playing my libido. Like, for example, they create this ways of creating stories and their little version of reality that is so disgusting. But as they try to live in their little bubble, it's like there's too much reality in regard of the testimonials of what they've done. That's what they like to use. For me, I just found, I was wondering why they use like childlike individuals, almost like children. Like people who are just like kind of like out of touch with reality as is. But you put them in this program, they can immerse themselves in a completely creations, and they're easily like just they're not even real like mentally stable individuals. Some of them, they're just like childlike individual that you can hear them in the hallway talking about their love, and it's because they can easily create a reality. And then also there's people who are definitely established, and they try to block out the reality. These people, I see them escape. It's like they no longer, it's like you see them try to come up with these narrations of things. And then when you see, you show them reality, it's just, they're just somehow just blank out, to just kind of escape this moment. It's like their body just like, it's just, because it's obvious that they do these nasty things. As I said yesterday, they're starting off with this disturbing like version of a memory. They will try to make me think of an old friend of mine and his son, and try to say, you see, you're looking at this kid like this and that, and they start giving me like stimulations. It's literally stimulation of it. Try to get you to like feel stimulation. Somebody just like opens the doors like, oh, jerk off. Sorry for the language. They're disgusting. They play with your libido. They crank it up. Even now, I'm still feeling it. And so they do these sexual arousals and want you to feel guilty. You who at this point have been validated, they manipulate the sexual arousals in so many ways. Like literally, people saying all kind of target individuals. So that's what they do, right? They can play with your libido. So how do you think they're going to do this? Last night was disgusting, or this morning too. Wake up, they were playing. It was just disgusting. Just can you imagine having your sexual organs being manipulated by pedophiles? Now, when I say pedophiles, I'm not saying that they literally are pedophiles. I'm saying that pedophilia they're very pedophilia centric. These people play with your genitals in a way that's aimed toward children. They stimulate you and make you think about kids while playing with your sexual organs. They play with your sexual organ and they condition your brain to see kids this way. These are the people who call you nothings. Right? Now you understand these people. You don't live this life and it's free. You don't do this, oh, you're nothing. I was forcing people to have stimulation toward children, like, and live life comfortably. It doesn't happen like that. No matter if you're millions of you doing this, there's ways that it comes back to you. There's no way you can be a group, and it's funny that with them they try to make this they try to paint it in a way that is just like radical. Oh, you're nothing. That's what we can do. That they've been doing that to many others. But they try to like, it's like we dared, right? When in reality, it's a system, it's a way of just breaking down somebody. They don't come up with these methods of tormenting people. The ways of tormenting people have been there before, and that's why you hear that from others. And now what they do is also they play with my memories, because when they started, it was so disgusting. They will play with my libido so much, and they'll make me think of kids, or just play and just, or if I heard a child, they'll do these things and play by a little bit. And so I was like, okay, I can either let that happen or aim my libido to where it should be aimed. Not it should be aimed, but use it where I would be, where my libido would go naturally. And as I was doing that, I remember, and I don't want to be graphic, so I would watch adult content. They would yell things, so my brain goes there. They'll say black little girl, so I watch whatever adult content, try to make me think of black little kid, and disturb me. I could, literally outside of the window, I could hear them. And now what they're doing is like they're making me think of those moments when I was trying to use my libido in these ways, when I watch this adult content. And instead of making me think that I was watching adult content, they make me think of these black little girls. And you hear these people in the hall with this trash, this bottom feeders the government has constructed to try to counter reality. These people, they live a life that's so disgusting. And for me, like I said, they've tried to paint me as a pedophile, as a child molester, as a something. And I know the theater is going to be that. They keep trying to think that because they tell me about how I'm going to be castrated and tortured, or whatever they say is going to happen, I'm going to subscribe to it. I find this is dignified. Can you imagine a bunch of pedophiles that torture children and women, who are forcing you to gain stimulations and manipulate you to think about children in so many pedophilia ways, torturing you? You see yourself as something different. You can see it two ways. I gotta run away from these people, or this is honorable. Look at this trash. I will never run from this trash. I will run toward them. If they want a theater, I'm not gonna give them that fantasy. I'm gonna go run that. I will the torture, the hurt, the screams they're gonna hear me, it's better than living their life. They wanted to come up with a fantasy of theirs. No, I'm not giving you that. Okay, I'll scream, I'll hurl, I'll scream, all of that. I'll be tortured. But I know who's torturing me. I know these people who torture children, people who do this pedophilia type of torture, ran by pedophiles, and I was right. There is a problem, pedophilia in these agencies. BuzzFeed article just literally said there's patterns of child abuse, of sexual child abuse in these agencies. You hear CIA doing things to 2-year-old and 6-year-old. You see them downloading child porn on their government devices, on the computer from work. You hear all of these things from all kind of agencies. And I was right. These people need to project these things. They have to create these things. They have to make these things. They have to stimulate me into these disturbing, nasty things and make me to make me think that I'll never subscribe to them. There is a reality that they try to escape. I'm not letting them escape. You know, they tell me, oh, you're going to be raped. You're going to be annually. It's like, listen, you work for pedophiles, you torture children. You know, and then they try to use people, and you'll see that work with children to try to make me feel guilty. You understand how disgusting that is, actually? You work with a program where first of all, these ways of tormenting people is being applied. They're not idiots. Matter of fact, at this point, my brain, if my brain can see that, can see the obvious pattern that they've been doing this pedophilia type of torture, they can easily see that. And you work for children, you work with children, and you're in a program where these people force people to think in these disgusting ways, force you to be stimulated sexually toward children, and then you try to play, and they try to use this facade like I work with children, so it's even more disgusting, you low life. They're so disturbed. And they want you to be, oh, you're just because you're nothing. Oh, really? You're something. You see how delusional these people are? This is what makes you something. You are truly are nothing. And on top of that, I know who put me in this program. These people they're just the people implementing and deploying this nastiness. I know who's really behind me being in this program. This is why they can't even speak about pedophile. They've been humbled by people that have nothing to do with me. These people are disgusting. They've tried to create this. This is why I make videos. Because targeting videos, you are going to be surrounded by people who are trying to get you to accept a fantasy. And for me, they want to create it so bad that they even talk about how they're going to rape me and torture me and thinking that's going to be... And I'm sure they're going to watch and say, oh, yes, you see, yeah. These people have been working day and night to play my libido, torture children. And their lyrics, yeah, get this pedophile. While these people are forcing you to get stimulation toward children. They live off a disgusting life, and there's nothing empowering about. Like, there's nothing. You know, there's nothing fierce about these things. It's disgusting. They're just cowardly. Like some people call them satanic cowards. I don't even want to call them satanic because it just empower them. It gives them a little bit more grandeur than they really are. They're just low-life cowards that work for pedos. And use these childlike people. Me, you know, I understand. I mess with somebody who I should have not been messing with. This man had influence, and I'm here. And these people here, just their job are just to do these things. I understand reality. And I'm with people who wanted to come up with a fantasy and think that, and want this reality to be so real that they're going to create a theater for that. And you hear them be all confident. Oh, yeah, you see who's talking. It's unbelievable how weak and fragile these people are. Some of them is just ridiculous. It's just, you could never even, seeing them, you're like, oh my gosh, these are the people talking to me. And they're like, oh, they believe you. I was like, oh, what, do you believe me? Exactly. Because what they're thinking is, they're going to frame me. That's what they say. I'm going to be in a place where they're going to torture me. They're going to do, that's what they're saying, right? Which I believe. And they're like, we've proved so much that they're gonna believe you. No. If these people, these childlike individuals, these fragile human beings, these weak people can be involved in this program, you tell me that people who can be aggressive physically, who can be actually torture like physically people, these people are gonna be like, oh no, look at the patterns. You guys do the pedophilia type of torture. No, they're gonna be joining in just like you. You're trash like them. You see, they live in this reality where they even think that, oh, we've just proved it. Just now you do the pedophilia type of torture. I've seen a group of people watching me, and then I start talking about the pedophilia issues. They start walking away. Oh, did they all of a sudden believe me? There's no way to not see what they do. There's the issues with pedophiles. And then, what they try to do? Oh, they believe you. They worry. You saw what you did as a kid. Forget about just what they do to children. When you hear these agencies filled with pedophiles doing child porn and doing things to children, that is not just a target individuals talking about testimonials. That is literally the Department of Defense writing, documenting what has been happening in these agencies. These people who protect the children, why is there such an issue with pedophilia in these agencies? You see, that is alone shows, that alone could just examine, like show reality. Oh, they're investing. But why are they all doing child porn in these computer devices? It's not even like, they don't even try to, on their work computers. That alone, somebody just, yeah, okay. Yeah, well, obviously, we know that this is intelligence community-like entities. Some people will call it, oh, I remember hearing somebody, a coworker, it's like they're like the CIA or something like that. Now they try to be like, oh, we're the FBI. It's like, they are contracted by the government, the government entity to implement this technology onto people. And this technology, guess who is in charge of developing this? It's an agency called DARPA. If I'm not mistaken, it's the Defense Advanced Research Program Agencies. It's an agency specializing in technological research for the Defense Department. Do you know, if you go on the website, what technology they work on? What weapons they work on? Yeah, it literally says directed energy and weapon and electronic weapons. Literally, you're gonna hear target individuals say those words all the time. DARPA, DARPA, Defense Advanced Research Program Agency. This is a Department of Defense entity that specializes in research and developing technology specific to war, weaponry. One of the specific technology they're working on is directed energy. These bottom feeders who are trying to counter these things are just the contracted people by the DOD. They're just nothing. Guess what they found in this DARPA? You know this problem with people doing child porn in these agencies? Oh yeah, a program manager. A program manager. So these people cannot, as they try to call, we're FBI, they're using directed energy, just like every other target individual. A program manager at DARPA, a program manager in DARPA, right? DARPA, which is the Defense Advanced Research Program Agency, I think, was caught with child porn on his work computer. They were just doing a basic virus check. Now, like I said, there's no escaping reality. These people are filled with pedophiles. There's no escaping the fact that these people are using DARPA weaponry. So, these people, filled with pedophiles, do the pedophilia type of torture. Now we go into what they do to children. You will hear testimonials of people saying the children are being affected impacted by these people. They torture children in so many ways. Some of those ways are even sexual, using this technology. This technology can do so much to your body. It can make you feel like they can control things. And you hear that a lot of even women talking about it. With this electronic weaponry and this directed energy, so much can be done. These people are obviously just the contractor. You're not going to see somebody there and like, oh, he's like a DARPA, you're going to see that these people just deployed and the weaponry that these DARPA agencies are developing. And so they obviously do these things to women where it's like sexual torture. And they do this to children. They torture children sexually. And you hear this trash trying to be all dismissing. And they're like children. They're like children. When it comes to how they try to be dismissive and gaslighting, oh, I did it. Oh, they try to disorient you. That's how they sound. If you saw who I was talking to, if you saw who was talking to me, you understand what I'm talking about. And there's one thing I hate about them, because as a target individual, everything is orchestrated. Everything is orchestrated. Everything is orchestrated. So these people who are just nobodies, they're nothings, in this moment, can tell you what's going to happen to you. Can say things before you say it. This technology has controls, manipulate, and everything around you is orchestrated. So you see this nobody feeling empowered. You can see even their walk. They start walking these different ways. Like, ugh. It's just, they get that feeling of like, I'm like a god. Because this technology has this ability toward target individuals, where everything is done in an orchestrated way. And you see them try to be, and I think if I was not a target individual, they would probably be even intimidated by me. But they get this feeling that look, I can do everything to this person. I can tell what's going to say. And they walk around like it's like you're trash. You work in a program that even have to torture children. Some of them try to say, oh, I did. It's like, no, you work in a program that does that. So it means that you do it. They try to distance themselves from like, did I me personally? Yes. Target individual. The people who are doing this to you are also doing this to children. For me, they've used this trash, this low life. They've tried to create this facade of feminism, of radicalism, of this, try to protect the community of children. These people who are forcing me and others to have disturbing stimulation toward children. And then they're like, oh, they're trash, they are low lives. And I'd rather speak as much as I can now than let them live in their fantasy where they've created this reality where they're protecting kids. Now I'm going to expose this trash. They use these people who are teachers, people who work with children in a program that do these things to people. And the thing is, I can stop talking today and just play the different testimonials, and then I can only show who's talking to you. Who's this bottom feeders talking? Look, would you believe this trash? Look. Look at this. Do you think that they don't work for a government entity? That these people are investigating? You see who's talking? It's like, my gosh. Trash, frauds. That's the people that they walk with. If there's 20 people saying, let's do this, they'll... No self-respect, no self-dignity. Now they're exactly excited, oh, we're going to watch you getting tortured. Okay, please, dedicate more time. You going to watch me scream? Okay. You know the person who screamed? He knows you guys are the pedos. He said it in maybe 30 videos. He saw you guys for what you guys are. He knows that you guys do this to children and women. He knows that you guys have been manipulating him to have this disturbing stimulation. He even knows. Not only he knows, he showed the other testimonials. Well, this bottom feeders, I was like, I start talking. They start talking like that. That's like the way they're supposed to agitate me. It's like my target individual, my perps, they use these childlike ways of gaslighting you. V2K is used to project their voices into me, right? So I can hear what they say. And so as I'm making these videos, what they try to do is disorient me. Even whenever I have interactions or I try to like get myself back to perspective, you hear these people trying to sound, oh, I'm so bored. Oh, I did it. Oh, yeah. Because they do this, right? They do this manipulation. They force you to experience these things. And on top of that, they do this to children, they torture children. And they try to use these childlike people who sound like less experienced, right? Because, I'm just too young sounding to be the one who've been torturing children. And the older perps just stay quiet because they can sound like they've done it to more people, including women and children. Let me say this. First of all, I know this, even the young ones are doing this to women and children. I know that. I know these younger ones are more experienced than I thought in the regard of doing these things to people. I'm talking about like this young, barely adult or whatever. They've done these things to children. It doesn't take much. They distance themselves from reality. They live in this fantasy. They go into an apartment or a place around them and do these things. I know. To a child, no problem, right? To them, it's video. They're not even human. They're nothing, right? So I know some of these even people who sound like they sound too young to be experienced that much. Yes, they've done this to children. Some of them more than others. But there's no way I distance themselves from the people who torture children and women. I see them as that. They have families, they have kids, and whatever they. But when it comes to doing these things to target individuals, even if the target individuals have children, they'll do that to the children. They're nasty lowlifes. And then they try to make you feel guilty. For me, they try to bring up me as a kid doing the stupid thing, and they try, they tell me, they're gonna rape you, they're gonna do this. First of all, I was a child, but I'm talking to people who torture children, and then force you to experience these disgusting pedophilia ways of thinking. Stimulate you. Even now, my libido is cranked up because they've been doing all these disgusting things, making me think of children. Where they've been conditioning and try to program me to think in these disgusting ways. They do these things. And then just, oh, it's you. It's like, listen. And, it's funny how they want me to look at them. They want me to be like, look at them. They want me to look at them in a way that is like I should be identifying, or I should feel guilty for me as a kid who did something stupid where they have exaggerated to the nth degree. They have talked molesting. They talk about all kind of nastiness. Right? I know what I did as a kid. It's something I did to myself. I don't even want to go in details, but you understand. Somebody a kid who just in 8th grade, who did something to himself, and they try to add some exaggerations to create a worse reality of what actually happened. But understand, this is somebody just barely in 8th grade. Now, these adults who torture children sexually, who do these horrible things to women, who then force a man and a woman to think about kids in this sexual way, force you to stimulate you, and then try to get you to subscribe, and then like you are a dog. You listen to these people who are dogs for these pedophiles. They're literally the dogs of these pedophiles. They do the things, they deploy these weapons. They work for pedophiles. They're literally the dogs for pedophiles who try to make you accept this thing, and then they get humiliated when there's articles that just give you a bit of a sample of what's going on in these agencies. And they try to say, oh, it's like, yes, you work for pedophiles. You're the dogs for the pedophiles. They can't even say Roy Moore. I guess this dog can say that. They're sad, low lives. And they're going to be excited about my death and my torture because this is the things they have to hear. A reality they've tried to escape, that I don't let them do this. But they're going to see more. They're going to see. Me, I'm just, the way I look at this target individual, find yourself lucky. Yes, life is tough. Life is painful. But these people, as much fun as it looks like they're having, it's just a way to escape for a moment. You think this thing is not going to come back to them? They know this. Right now, they're in a group of people. There's excitement. There's a sense of godlike feelings. They involved in a group-like activity. I'm sure there's financial benefits. The connection. So this is like exciting. But you think people will do this thing it goes smoothly? No. That's why I'm saying, me making my videos is, first of all, I'm not going to let them escape into the reality. Before this BuzzFeed article that calls out why is there so many pedophiles in these agencies, that literally say, why is there so many pedophiles in this intelligence community? Why? I mean, this person literally say, before you become one of them in these agencies, the amount of the way they review your life, the scrutiny in the way they just see, they go through everything in your life. They won't let anybody just to to make sure that you're not a spy, that you're not somebody who's working for a different government. Do you know how much they go through? They go through all your informations, we're talking about the intelligence community of the Department of Defense. So these pedophiles that don't child porn, all that, they know these things, and they hire them. You think this is the things they're gonna not see? They see. They probably follow everything. They travel all. So they know these people are pedophiles and hiring them. Because this pedophilia things to them is like, oh, whatever. As long as he's doing this on this, that's this. Why are they letting these people in? Before I was saying that. Before this article called that out and other people were saying that, but based on this article, I was asking, how come these people are comfortable and can do these things and feel normal about it? Create this kind of thoughts in people's head. This is disgusting. Can you imagine day in and day? I was like, okay, all right, let's make him think of black little girls and then stimulate him and then make him, and then sometimes they will make me imagine some disturbing. Now it's just like sensation stimulation. Sometimes the thoughts will just be disgusting themselves. Creating these thoughts, day in and day out. What kind of people does it take to do this? To normalize these things? And then this article comes out. And you're like, okay, these people force you to have this disturbing reaction to children. And the thoughts are disgusting. The dreams are disgusting. What kind of person can do that? They have to be in an environment where these things is okay. So, of course, they'll be okay for a pedophile to come in and be involved with these things. Matter of fact, these people who are doing this thing to me, there is a protocol they follow. There's a way they do things that seems very systematic. It's not random. I'm not the only one who's talking about the pedophilia type of torture. Matter of fact, this word is not even from me. So they have these tactics of doing these things. And I was wondering why what kind of people, and this makes sense that, of course, these people work for intelligence communities, for sure. They can say it's not CIA. Obviously, CIA has a strong fingerprint in this. It's obvious. They started the MK Ultra. You understand that they would be the one that really kind of create this kind of the architecture of these things. Obviously, now the technology is to another level. So now we're bringing up people like DARPA, where they found a pedophile down on child porn, a program manager that's not even just a regular employee, program manager. But this is throughout different departments. from DOD I mean, now I'm being gaslighted into accepting this. And it's funny because they say, oh, they're going to be framing, they're going to do this and that. They're going to create that theater. Like I said, I'm going to pray. And, my prayers is never pray for survival. I don't pray for that. Survival, for me, is just, I don't need, like, however short my life is, it's okay. How fast and quick my life can be short. It's okay. I'm just thankful I didn't have to live their life. I'm okay with a short life. I'm just going to pray for strength to deal with the theater. And I don't want to give these people any sense of this false reality. No. I want them to see themselves for what they are till the end. Till the end. No escapism. I know they use childlike individuals that can escape, and not even just childlike people, just people who just can live a life of just fraudulency or escapism. I was with somebody, I could see her. She'll go somewhere and look outside and just wow. Try to live in the deluded reality where they're doing it because I did this to a woman, that these people are here frying and burning faces of women. You've seen some of the pictures of my videos. This is coming from director energy. This is what they do to women. Legs destroy, body destroy. Women just fried up. You see the TI Day 2020. How many women were there? So these people try to escape from this reality and try to say, oh no, we're doing it for this. Yeah, okay. With all the women you've been killing and torturing. And they use the same people. These childlike individuals. Literally, a woman said, why is there so many females involved in this? Some of them are like, oh my gosh, how young these people is, it's just shocking. Because it doesn't take a strong-minded individual. It just takes anybody who can just be in a room and do this thing day in and day out. This is not a tough job in the sense that, it's just the intellect. No. Just somebody who has time. Who has time? Who has nothing to look. Don't need to be physically strong, mentally strong, or nothing. Anybody. Matter of fact, they probably want somebody who just have a loser. It's better. But I see them escaping to a reality. Right now they make me think, oh, they're doing it for this woman. I was like, oh my gosh, there's testimonials of women. It's just ridiculous. It sounds like a war crime. What they do to women, it's just disgusting. So, target individual, I pray for strength in the sense that give me strength for whatever I'm going to endure. These people want to escape into reality they've put together. When in reality, they try to escape from the fact that they are part of a program that destroys people, including women. They are cowards that torments children, sexually torture them. They are filled with pedophiles running these shows. They've done the foulest things to some of the most vulnerable people. And even men, they've tortured. Some of these, they've pushed them to do things. These people are the trash, and they are bottom feeders and cowards. They want to escape from the level of cowardness these people have. In regard of not only torturing women and children, but the fact that they try to call themselves gods when they can't even speak about a pedophile like Roy Moore. These people are delusional. They live their fantasy and they try to make you accept this persona they put together. I'm not going to let them live their fantasy. Regardless, let them watch me say something. Let them watch me die and my brain go into whatever. I'm not aligned. My brain is not with me. It's with you guys. I say these things because I need that to be out. You need to say those things. So when they happen, and I'm not saying anything magical. I'm saying that they're obviously trying to escape from the reality that they're in a program that torture women and children, do the pedophilia type of torture, and force you to experience the most disturbing things. And have done horrible things. And in the way they combat this reality is like, oh, you'll be framed. You see the reality? You see, that's why you don't be surprised when things come back to you. You have to be strong. But for me, like I said, my prayer have been simple, that God just give me strength to deal with the theater. They're gonna try to come up with a fantasy, a showing of, because he's gonna be tortured in this way. He's gonna be tortured in these horrible ways. He's the pedophile, and we're protecting kids. Reality, these people are pedos. They've been torturing children, and they force people to think in these pedophile ways. The amount of women they've destroyed, and the fact that they do horrible things to children, is just reality. And they wanted to escape and create this fantasy where they create this false persona with me and try to make themselves being some kind of avengers. When in reality, these people are just nasty things, and people should avenge onto them for what they've done to people, including women and children. But this is not for me. They're going to get theirs one way or another. In the meantime, give me strength, because I'm going to deal with a lot of torture, a lot of tormenting from people who do horrible things to even children. So I'm going to try to stay strong, and I want all target individuals to stay strong and know that justice will be done for what they've done to people. You see who they are. Some of them are not the most, and it's easy. It's not going to take much. So these people that call you dogs, nothing, these people are the dogs for these pedos. Are the nothing the pedos use to implement these things. And so stay strong.